Hey, the Panthers got to play someone wearing another team's jersey today.
Let's go. We did it. We made it.
Joint practices today. Cleveland was in town. Cleveland Browns. All right. Reactions, right? Because this feels more real, right? It feels more authentic, I guess. Like if you do well in a drill against another team, you can be certain that the coaches didn't juice it at all. I used to love when you'd hear like the wide receivers coach against scout team talking to the scout team safety going like, hey, you got to come up and stop the run, huh? Got to stop the run. And I'm sitting there knowing we got a play action called. Like, all right, this is going to look really good because our coach is just juicing the deck for us right now, right? You run the play action. The guy's flying down to stop the run. You throw it right over his head. It's like, oh, look at that. We're completing passes, which coaches do sometimes. You know a receiver needs a confidence boost or something. You give him a nice little easy touchdown in practice, whatever. But against another team, you know that it's a little bit more legit. If you win, you win. If you lose, you lose. So something like Tetero McMillan, I would say up and down, right? I searched through all of the reports, all of the clips that were available, and it seems like Tetero McMillan had a quintessentially rookie up and down day. To the point where, a couple of plays could separate a drop in the end zone and a highlight touchdown on a slant where he's got a man draped over him and he gets one hand on it and reels it in. Like it's same player, 45 seconds apart, bad rookie concentration drop, and oh yeah, that guy's got a certain set of skills that can emerge in a super positive way. That's what these days are for, right? That's what joint practices are for. To get as much of the jitters, to get as much of the let me see what I can get away with, to get as much as of the this is what it's likes out of the way. So I'm gonna react real quickly to quite a few of the younger guys. Tetero McMillan up and down. I expect that for him. He's coming from Arizona, where even his Arizona career, meaning in college, was up and down. Some days 200 plus yards, some days 50. So consistency will be something he has to learn as he becomes a pro. Princely Umanmielen, one of my favorite prospects on the Panthers, he got a taste of the real thing. He had a one-on-one rep against DeJuan Jones of Cleveland. DeJuan Jones, to put it lightly, is a mountain.
He's 6'8", 375.
Many of you remember him from Ohio State, just a big dude. And Princely Umanmielen tried to go with a little out and then in move, and DeJuan Jones's wingspan is something that my guess is Princely's never encountered before, because he got his hands on him and stonewalled him. And you could, like, the only way I can describe it is it's like a kid sitcom move where an adult puts their hand on the kid's forehead and then the kid is swinging, like throwing punches, but they just never reach the adult. It wasn't on the forehead, but his wingspan had him on the shoulder, his reach, and you could see the things Princely was trying to do just weren't reaching DeJuan Jones until the rep was over. And file that one away. A lesson learned when you're up against one of these, like the mountain from Game of Thrones. The way to beat them is you got to make sure they don't get their hands on you the first time, because it's kind of game over from there. Lesson learned. At least you hope so, or at least partial lesson learned. I don't think it's like, you do it once and you're like, never happen again. But then there was also the positive stuff. Speaking of gargantuan humans, Cam Jackson, fifth round pick
out of Florida.
Fifth round defensive tackle for the Carolina Panthers. He learned that 6'6", 335-pound plays at this level too, right? He is his own gargantuan human for Carolina, one of the multiple massive dudes they have on the interior of that defensive line. And when they went kind of similar spot on the depth chart against similar spot on the depth chart for the Browns, those interior offensive linemen were getting taken for a ride because Cam Jackson learned, if I lean and put all my power into this, there's only so many things like from a physics standpoint, like Sir Isaac Newton would say, right? Force and mass, acceleration, there's something there. That works in the NFL as well. And it did. He put a couple guys on his back in one-on-ones. Now, I know what a lot of you are saying, maybe even screaming right now, which is, great. How was Bryce? Oh, the rookies are playing okay. How was Bryce Young? Let's hear from Dave Canales. Dave Canales thought it was a good day for Bryce overall. Here he is.
Just finding his guys down the field, guys being available to him. I think the 7-on-7 period, they weren't on the same page a couple times. And so there's something that we can kind of work through. But, I just loved, the bounce back plays. The Browns are pros too. They made some plays out there, and just a highlight to see that front. It's a pretty good front, adding Mason Graham inside, of course. Myles Garrett was out there. And so just loved the physical style play that was happening. But Bryce was able to find some opportunities down the field. And we looked a little leggy. We got after it yesterday, I'll be honest. We looked a little leggy at first, but the guys kind of got going in the practice. And, of course, just competition brings out the best in the guys.
Got to turn my microphone on. It looked like Bryce had a good day. But I'm going to let somebody or all of you in on how I think about it. We knew he would look good. The crazy part, I don't even know what's crazy. Something you have to realize about judging Bryce is I genuinely cannot think of a time he has ever struggled on a football field aside from like 15 game days in the NFL. Like, he was one of the number one recruits in the country. He was an unbelievable high school player. He won a ton of recruiting awards during the camp circuit. He goes to Alabama, where in his first year, he wins a national championship as a backup. Second year, he wins the Heisman Trophy. Next year, he's the number one overall pick. Shows up in Carolina. Everybody's excited about him. He goes into the preseason, does well, right? All of the camp stuff does well. Then on game days during the NFL season, his first year, he struggled. Then he comes back the next year. He's get one drive in the preseason, right down in scores. Exciting, everything again. A couple of those game days, he struggled.
And then last year, by all accounts, in the joint practice against the Jets, people were saying, oh, Bryce cooked. Bryce cooked.
There's very few situations aside, maybe even more than 15, maybe a little, 15 and change game days are the only days he struggled. So pretty much any time you're going into a showcase, a practice, what they would call like an underwear Olympics, right, where you're in shorts and a T-shirt and you're being judged, I firmly expect Bryce Young to look unbelievable. And I think he did today. Not saying he didn't throw any interceptions, because he did, but it's practice. You take your chances. Like, he looked very, very solid by all accounts. I was not expecting anything else. The hard thing that we have to decipher is he being prepared? Is he ready? Is he different than the past 2 years in preseason as far as his preparation for game number one? Or the other side of it, right? Because there's, the cause and the effect, what is the root cause? Or is the supporting cast around him improved to the level that they will help him be better in game one, game two, than he's been the last few years? And one of the big things is that Tepper McMillan that we talked about, right? Is he getting all of the growing pains, or at least enough of the growing pains out early on in this one, during joint practices, during Friday's preseason game, that by the time they hit week one, Bryce and McMillan are ready to be the difference between this year and the last two. Again, Dave Canales, the head coach, talked to the media. He was asked how Bryce and Tedoroa are getting more comfortable.
I love the chemistry that they're developing. I think that, especially down the field, Bryce has been giving, T-Mac a lot of opportunities, a lot of shots down the field to figure out where can I put this, where he's going to be able to get his hands on it, and on the play that he had a touchdown that he dropped today, and he was kind of running a corner route, and Bryce kind of, instead of leading him to the back pylon, Bryce kind of threw it right behind the defender, and I think that was a new one, for T-Mac, because he was like, oh, shoot, this is a good spot for it. Bryce kind of saw it. So I was excited about that. Bryce turned around to me. We're both smiling, and we would love him to catch that ball. He will. But I love just taking those attempts down the field, just because it's just the me to you factor, learning new skill players within our scheme.
The comfortability. I would actually, if I were a coach, I would almost, well, first of all, you want them to do well, and you're going to judge them on their technique, and you're going to judge them on decisions and all those sorts of things. But with an up and down day like Tetaroa had, I would watch their interactions after the bad plays, right? How quickly do they get together? What is Bryce telling him? Is it like long synopsises with extremely long dissertations, or could it be a look and a hand signal? Could it be, hey, man, get up, right? Did they have a shorthand? Because that's what the best quarterbacks and wide receivers develop.
And Bryce even talked about it today as well, in the sense of on the couple of the times where they either struggled on offense with the pre-snap penalties, or they had the drops or miscommunications, that they were able to quickly bounce right back and then execute in the next play. That's something that even with that same receiver, that they're able to execute and able to, move on, or at least, build from that mistake. And like you said, how quickly can you learn from this? Apparently that's what Bryce said was today. It was something he really liked seeing from the offense.
It all comes. I mean, that's
why you practice.
I was going to say, I'm going to say this 9,000 times. So you can start the counter. Here's number 2. You're not going to know if any of this is sticking until game 1.
Yeah.
But you got to try, right? You got to monitor it. You got to do everything you can. And then game 1 is when you find out whether it all worked or not.